This is Johnny Jeter, and you're in the Wrestling Epicenter.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the interactive interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Back of the line, buddy!
He's a carnival barker at best.
You're not a king, you're not a prince, you're not a duke, you're not even an earl. Get to stepping. I want a real challenge for my king.
Wait a minute. Is this the challenger? Hold on. Wait a minute. Is this...
Well. Former WWE Tag Team Champion, former member of the Spirit Squad, Johnny Jeter is here with us today. And I do believe, Carl, that he is going to step right up to the King of the Midway and accept the challenge.
Things just got interesting. Really interesting. As you mentioned, at the top of his game, Johnny Jeter was in millions of households across America. And now he steps into the ring for Championship Wrestling for Arizona. You can get it on the Fight app. And folks, Johnny Jeter ready to bring that muscle back. You know, he's a guy that is well-traveled, a veteran of the ring. And here we go. So this title is really on the line.
The King of the Midway.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with me right now is a gentleman who just made his return to the ring, appearing for our local town's company, Championship Wrestling from Arizona. From the Spirit Squad, it is Johnny Jeter. Mr. Jeter, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
Doing great. I'm so happy to have you on the show, and I'm happy to see you back in the ring. So, what prompted this? Easy for me to say. What led you back to the wrestling ring?
Oh, man, it definitely feels good to be back. It's been a while. Honestly, what got me back in was my former tag team partner when I was with the Thrill Seekers at Ohio Valley Wrestling. When Matt Capitelli passed away, a close friend of mine, actually one of the Heartbreakers, I think he went by Romeo Roselli in WWE, he said he was going to put together kind of a memorial show for Matt, and with a kind of like an undetermined date. And a lot of people had already said they were going to attend this show. And he's like, well, do you want to wrestle? And again, I left in August 2008, and I hadn't been really in a wrestling ring since. I've been in once, but I realized Mondo and Kenny pretty much did everything. But yeah, so I was like, well, I mean, I don't think I'm in wrestling shape, but yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I'm like, I'll just get into wrestling shape somehow. So I started looking around here in Arizona for a wrestling school, but I live on the southeast side in Gilbert. There's a wrestling school or ring out in the northwest side, which was really far from me. So I ended up getting in touch with just one of my other buddies, James, and who wrestles by Oliver Grimsley at CWFAZ. He's like, come check out our promotion. We wrestle once a month. And he's like, yeah, maybe you can kind of roll around the ring before shows. And so I ended up going there on a Saturday. And what I realized was, you know, they really just kind of set the ring up on an ad hoc basis for these shows. As soon as they set it up, they're doing pre-tapes, they're doing the show, and then they break it down. So there really isn't a whole lot of time to roll around and wrestle and kind of practice. So I was like, well, I guess the only real ring time I'm going to get is if I actually wrestle on the show for the promotion. I'm like, I don't care. I'll lose every night. I just want to get some in-ring experience and get my win back and get the feeling back. So they allowed me to start doing that, and now I kind of have a bigger role on the show. And it's just kind of something fun that I do on the side. And I don't know if that Capitelli show is still going on or not. I probably should get in touch with Roselli, but ultimately it's just been kind of something fun to do on the side, and it's kind of gotten that fire lit in me again about wrestling. So
very cool.
Cool.
What do you think of the setup at Championship Wrestling of Arizona with the TV and with the little bit of the live studio audience kind of feel to it?
Oh man, I dig it, and honestly, man, it kind of reminds me of Ohio Valley a little bit. I mean, the production level's gone up significantly since I was there, but no, man, I just dig it. I like they put the ring up. Everyone's kind of going over their matches, and you get to talk to the boys, and And it just seems like a really well-oiled machine there, man. They just they go down for production meeting, come back up, tell you who you're wrestling, what they want you to convey, and then you go in the back and, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I kind of dig it. It's almost funner with the smaller crowds because you kind of interact with them more and play to them. So I dig it. I enjoy it.
So it's been a few years, and you look a little different, but you are still you, and people definitely recognized you when you came out, but they recognized you from your time in the WWE as part of the Spirit Squad. It's kind of become a thing where a lot of different guys had different opinions of the Spirit Squad that were from the faction. How did you enjoy the Spirit Squad faction as a character versus the obvious huge television exposure that you guys got?
Well, it's kind of a catch-22, right? It's like, hey, you're in Ohio Valley, you kind of have the impression that you're lucky to have a job. There's a million other wrestlers that could be here, so be very grateful for the opportunity that you have. So an opportunity comes along, and again, all of us are at Ohio Valley. We all knew once you get to WWE, do whatever gimmick, and then after that, you can kind of be whoever it is you want to be for the most part. So you kind of have that in the back of your mind, and then when they kind of call you up and they're like, oh, we have an idea for 5 male cheerleaders. Initially all of us kind of looked at each other like what the fuck? Male, that's like the one gimmick. That's like the last thing you would ever expect to be called up doing. And initially, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for the other guys, but I wasn't too particularly thrilled about it. However, once I kind of realized the opportunity that was being given to us, and then once I realized, how much fun we could have with this and who we were going to wrestle, and again, if you're getting called up to WWE, like at that point in your career, you can't really be selective. We're not named. No one knows who we are. So, and again, also, as soon as the gimmick's over, we didn't know how long or short it was going to be. You can always kind of do whatever it is you want to do after that. And they had mentioned that to us. So we kind of just embraced the gimmick, had fun, and man, I can't begin to tell you how much fun and how many laughs we had in that ring. But again, yeah, I got to wrestle with DX, Flair, and Piper, and Dusty, and just anyone and anyone. We had a great time. We were very fortunate to get up there and even win the tag title. So yeah. So again, to answer your question, initially not thrilled, but we made the most of it, enjoyed it, and had fun with it.
Exactly. And in preparing for this interview, I was watching a lot of YouTube clips and things, and you almost forget when you're watching it at the time, like, oh, wow, he wrestled Shawn Michaels. So he was in the ring with Roddy Piper, like you said. It's pretty cool that you guys were a part of that you got to see some of that last generation of talent in the ring with you guys. And that's got to be something that you, as a talent, I know you didn't really go as way as you wanted in the wrestling industry, but you had to have learned a lot from working with those unbelievable home household name talents like that.
Oh yeah, it's impossible not to up your game when you're with them and learn. It's almost like if you're playing a sport and you're playing with everyone who's your equal, you're not gonna really kind of excel or get any better. But when you're wrestling all these veterans, man, the way they move, the amount of time they take, the way they put a match together, the story they want to tell during that match, or you just say, hey, I'll see you out there, kid. Like, and then that's a learning experience for you too. And OVW prepared us well for any of those situations. But yeah, it definitely allowed us to up our game and to really appreciate and respect these guys on another level because we were very fortunate to be in the ring with them.
So you mentioned a few times that they were going to let you be you after the Spirit Squad, but you never really got that chance to fully show that as much as, say, a Dolph Ziggler has now with WWE. Any thoughts on if you wanted to bring the guy we saw in OVW to the WWE screens?
I thought about that. I know it's kind of been reported on Wild Routes, or at least I think it has. I think my Wikipedia page says something that's completely wrong. But it really was my choice to leave WWE because at the time they, I think I got hurt or something happened, and I ended up I had some time off. And then so when I was at home, and again, I'm not really proud of this, but a lot at the time, a lot of the guys were doing this, and you get caught up doing things you shouldn't do. You want to play wrestler, and guys were doing pills or drinking or doing other things. And even with the drug policy, it seems like other guys had ways around it. And so as a 19-year-old kid, being in that environment, you kind of get caught up in that. And so for me, I was hooked on pain pills, and I just woke up one day when I was off the road, and I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to kill myself. So I went home, I got cleaned up, and then when Johnny Ace called me and he said, hey, we need you to come back on the road, I said, honestly, I pretty much, long story short, I told him everything. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell us about this? We could have gotten you help. We could have, paid for it, sent you to one of the best places, in the U.S. I just said, I'm an adult. It was my mistake. I felt like I should own it, and I kind of wanted to kind of keep it out of the news. And I don't even know if I was a big enough star to even be in the news, but I know wrestling dirt, the dirt sheets and all that stuff kind of report on that. I didn't want that. And I just said, you know what? He said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back on the road? Do you want to go back to developmental? He's like, you tell me, man. And I was like, honestly, I think I'm at this point in my career, I think I'm past developmental. And this is when they had just moved to Florida. And I said, I feel like I don't trust myself to be on the road in that environment. And I think the best thing for me is to be around my friends and family right now. And I said, I know I'm not any value, to you in that regard. So I think it'd probably be just better if I, if we go our separate ways. And he's like, oh, well, I respect your decision. He said, the door's always open if you ever want to come back. But yeah, take care of yourself and call me if there's anything you ever need. So yeah, that's how it ended. But to your question again, would I have liked to have been like the Johnny Jeter, or they changed my name to Jaden Jeter when I was in ECW.
Yeah.
But I totally would have loved to have done that. I think, I think, because when I think back to my wrestling career, I know I'm very proud of what I did with the Spirit Squad, but I just feel like I had so much more to offer that I wasn't able to really portray or to do while I was there. So, I mean, do I have a little regret in that fashion? Yes, but at the same time, I'm very proud of what I did. And would it be cool to go back and do that? Yeah, but I think I'm at a point in my life and my career where, I have a wife, I have a house, I have a good career, I have my degree now, and wrestling for fun is cool on the side, but I think it would change my life completely if I was to ever go back on the road again.
Very cool, very cool. You mentioned you have a degree now. Do you mind saying what you do now? What is Johnny Jeter's career now?
No, I don't know. I got my Bachelor of Science in Accountancy at Cal State University Northridge, and I'm currently an IT audit manager at Insight Enterprises, Inc., which is, so it's weird. I don't know how I found myself doing this, but yeah, I do it. I enjoy it, and pays the bills.
All right. A couple more questions because I know we're getting close to that time frame I told you about.
You're good.
So here we are. In 2018. The wrestling industry seems to 2019. Where am I? The wrestling industry seems to be going under a bit of a renaissance right now, with the NWA now partnering with companies like Championship Wrestling from Arizona and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, as well as, of course, AEW, the big juggernaut company that everybody's kind of hoping to be the next WCW. What's your take on where we are right now in wrestling, and how is it different than when you were with WWE back, 13 years ago?
Man, it seems like, well, there's good things and bad things I think about the state of wrestling today. But I think it's awesome that all these like huge investors are getting involved in kind of back with NWA, kind of bringing that back to life, and kind of getting WWE some competition, because I think they need it, and I think it's going to bring out the best in wrestling. And also, I just think it allows, wrestlers who aren't in WWE to kind of explore and make a name for themselves outside of the company. I think it's definitely good for the wrestling business in general. The one thing I've noticed, and again, it could just be I say it, the old school way that I was trained in Ohio Valley, but it's like we were taught to tell a story in the ring, do less, make it mean more, and pretty much just sell your ass off and make the other guy look good. And I feel like I was watching, I was watching wrestling in general, and I feel like I feel like it's not becoming a spot fest, but I feel like they're just doing, like, they'll hit a guy with a huge kick, he'll roll back, and the whole crowd will go ooh, and then they'll pick him back up, hit a Death Valley driver, 1-2, the guy will kick out. Next thing you know, he's shooting him off, the guy's reversing, and it just really just made that sick move mean nothing. And it's like, I know all of these guys are extremely talented and athletic, and I'm not taking anything away from their talent. But I just think, man, like, to have a match like that, to think about your career longevity, I think, there's a good portion of the guys on the WWE roster or anywhere that can't do all that crazy stuff. And if you are, think about your career. You're wrestling 4 nights a week, 52 weeks a year. You're going overseas every 6 weeks. You got 14 shows in 20 days. Like, you're going to be doing that a lot. And I think when I was up there, they were like, oh, not that anyone was putting a lack of effort in, but it's like you have a bump card, and you go out there and you give it your best every night. But at the same time, you're trying to, again, make less mean more and get the crowd into it and tell a story. And I feel like I was watching it, and I feel like that bitter old guy going, back in my day, we used to just do this and that. But no, everyone's really extremely talented. But I think I'm kind of curious. I've been out of the game a while. I'm curious to see what they're kind of teaching and if it's still the same mindset. For those telling a story, make less mean more, because what I'm seeing, there's some things that I see that I'm like, man, if I was at Ohio Valley in front of the, Johnny Ace and I think Dreamer or Dr. Tom or whoever in the production team, dude, I would get yelled at in the back for that. You made that move look like nothing. You just wasted all that move. He just took that move of yours and kicked out on one and made you look weak. Like yeah. The whole psychology of it just didn't make sense to me when I was watching it. So I think that seems like what it's changed to a little bit today that I have trouble understanding. But overall, I think all the promotions and investment in the companies is definitely a good thing for wrestling.
Very cool. Johnny, I wanted to tell you that Eli Drake said much the same thing a couple weeks ago. He called it the Cirque du Soleil version of wrestling today. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty accurate description.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way.
All right. I kind of just going to backtrack for 2 more questions, and then we'll let you off the phone. 2016, late 2016, the Spirit Squad made a brief appearance back with WWE. I don't remember seeing you as part of that. Were you contacted about that, or was that not something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because I was driving back from San Diego to Phoenix with my wife, and I got a call, and I think it was like 203. I think it was 203. Don't quote me, but I'm like, wait, that's like Stamford, Connecticut area code. I'm like, no way. So I pick up the phone, and it was Mark Carano, and we kind of caught up for a little bit, and then he's like, yeah, we're doing something with Miz and Ziggler. He's gonna bring back the squad. We want to know if you were able to do it. And I was like, man, this sounds awesome. But again, like, I've been out of the wrestling game a while. Like, I'm an auditor. I sit at my desk. I'm very sedentary. I mean, I work out, but I'm not like shredded and in wrestling shape like I used to be. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, we don't know how long it's going to be. It could be, 1 show, could be 6 months, could be longer. And I was like, let me talk to my wife and let me think about it and I'll get back to you. He's like, yeah. He's like, just let me know, by the end of the day today. So I talked to my wife. She's like, yeah, you should do it. But even then I was still kind of hesitant. I was working for Deloitte at the time, who are the external auditors of WWE. So I know there's kind of like compliance type things that you can't, ethics and compliance things that you need to adhere to. So I'm like, let me just call the Deloitte ethics and compliance hotline just to see if I can even perform this on work for WWE just for a show or 2, even though I work for Deloitte. They said, no, they're a restricted entity. They're in a test client. You can't perform any paid or unpaid services for them. So then I reached out to some of the managing directors and partners in the Phoenix area, and I was like, hey, this is the situation. And they were thrilled. They all wanted me to go back. And I'm like, but this is what they said. I said, I'm not a manager. I'm not on the WWE engagement. I'm not a manager. I'm not invested in the company. This was in 2016. I'm not invested in the company or anything. So it's not like there's any kind of conflicts of interest or anything from an audit standpoint. And they submitted that, they signed off on that, but Deloitte still said no. They sent me all these legal reasons and all these PCOB things and SEC things, and I was just like, I'm not even going to worry about it. So I told them no, but yeah, it was cool seeing Kenny and Mikey do it. I didn't watch it. I watched like little clips on Facebook that they had posted, but would have been cool to kind of go back and see and do. But again, it's I don't think, even if I went back, I I don't know. When you go back to something like that, you want to be, you know, the best you possibly can. I'd want to be, 5% body fat shredded, just on my A game, ready to rock, and who knows if it would turn into something more. I was just kind of a sedentary auditor going to Raw. I don't know if it would have, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what would have been the best thing.
All right, so you mentioned the passing of Matt Capitelli, kind of, and the tribute show potentially getting you back in the ring. We've seen you back in Championship Wrestling from Arizona. You mentioned that you're going to be more of a part of the show going forward. Is this your inlet back into wrestling, or is it just dabbling your feet in, or is it just kind of just a nostalgic thing for you at this point?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. It's at this point.
And by the way, I say nostalgic thing for you at this point. You're 3 months younger than me, so I'm not calling. I don't mean anything by that. So there you go.
No, I didn't take it that way at all. No, I think right now, I'm not. I'd say since I started wrestling again, I've been dieting a lot harder, working out a lot harder, and I don't know. And I don't know if I'm subconsciously doing that in the off chance that there's an opportunity, but I'm not actively pursuing it. Like, I've been hit up with a couple promoters saying, hey, do you want to wrestle in Utah, or do you want to wrestle on the East Coast? And I'm like, not really. Like, I appreciate the offer, but I'm just kind of just staying local. And but then I got, my friend Antonio Thomas, hitting me up saying, hey, there's a show in Vegas, and we could wrestle singles, and there's going to be a good place to network. And I'm like, well, I trust Antonio. We keep up in OVW together, and I wouldn't mind wrestling him. And so I think, I don't know. I don't have an answer. If something presented itself, I definitely consider it. But again, it would change my entire life. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it would change for a good thing. I mean, wrestling would be cool to get back and kind of show what I can do. But at the same time, like, I have a wife, I have a house, and it's like, if I'm on the road 4 days a week, 52 weeks a year, like, we have kids. We're trying to have kids right now. And what if we get pregnant? Like, I'm not going to see my kids. I'm barely going to see my wife. Like, it's going to change everything. You know what I mean? And I have to weigh the cost benefit of that before ever making a decision to go back.
Well, whichever you decide, it's just great to see on the local TV. I kind of jumped out of my chair when you came out on Championship Wrestling. I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know he was still active. So that was really cool to see. And, man, welcome back. We're glad to see you back in the ring.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
All right. Before I let you go, can I just ask for one little favor? Do you mind saying this is Johnny Jeter, and you're in the Wrestling Epicenter?
Yeah. This is Johnny Jeter, and you're in the Wrestling Epicenter.
This is the Wrestling Epicenter. For over 15 years, we've brought you the top names in professional wrestling for exclusive interviews. Everybody you see here has been interviewed by our site. But we're more than just interviews. So be sure and check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for news, results, information, and of course our store. WrestlingEpicenter.com, your #1 source for wrestling information.